Hi guys, how are you doing today? Hope you are having a great sunny day. Ready for some new stories from Ask a Lawyer? Let's go to the first one, about OP's family, who is furious he bought Grandma's house very cheap, and they all have been left with nothing. Well, now they demand OP share the house with them. Listen to the end of the stories, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. So I, 28 male, used to take care of both of my grandparents. From the time I was roughly 19, my grandparents' health started to go downhill, and none of my 7 uncles or my mom really wanted to help out much. So I ended up moving back in with them to help out as much as I could. My grandpa was in a wheelchair, and my grandma had just gone into remission from cancer. Around 2020, when virus started to become a serious concern, my grandma was seriously worried about what would happen if her or my grandpa died, because they would not be able to live in their house that they had owned since around the mid-1960s. It is, according to my grandma, an old governor's mansion from the 1800s. It has 10 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms on 15 acres of land. When they bought it, it needed a ton of work, and they have spent the last 60 years making it a wonderful home, and both wanted to die in that house. They had raised all their children in that house, and even some grandchildren. It is the family hub. Everyone had grown up here. After one bad health scare with my grandpa, my grandma realized that if she lost him, she would no longer be able to afford the house, with losing half of her income. So I offered to buy the house from them. I have a fairly high-paying job for my area, and because I had been living there rent-free while taking care of them, I had quite a large savings. Originally, I told her I would just give her the money, or help her out, but she didn't want charity, so she and my grandpa sold me the house for $90,000, roughly 10% of the property's value. And I would let her live there until she died, which of course I would, because they knew I would keep the house in the family, and most of my uncles and mom just wanted to sell it for a quick buck. Only one uncle, Josh, knew about them selling me the house, and didn't mind at all, because me and him had almost exclusively done all the maintenance or housework on it for years. Unfortunately, my grandpa died in April 2021, and after that, my grandma's youngest sister moved in to spend time with her, because they were both widows and could emotionally support each other. So I took advantage of the virus interest rates and bought another house about 10 minutes away so I could still be close by if she needed anything, but have my own freedoms. Sadly, last week my grandma passed away, and after the funeral, the whole family gathered for her will reading. My uncles all got nice items. My uncle Josh got my grandpa's old 1940, 1950s Ford truck. My mom got all my grandma's jewelry. I got nothing, because I already got the house. The reading ended. All of my relatives were confused about the house and asked the lawyer, to which she said the house was already sold. Well, it didn't take long for them to put 2 and 2 together, and I'm now getting harassed by most of my family, saying I ducked them, and they need the money from the sale of the house. And some have even threatened to sue me if I don't sell the house and give them their rightful inheritance. So, am I the a-hole for screwing them out of their inheritance? Update. I ended up talking to my Uncle Josh about what has been going on with the other family members and the harassment over the house. And at about 8 tonight, he called everyone in the area and told them to all come to his house tonight as the oldest brother for a family meeting. Everyone complied. When I arrived, a couple of my uncles had some choice words, but Josh told them to shut the duck up, went into his room, and brought out my grandpa's original will before the more recent one that they had left with him. In the will, it stated that he would inherit the house 100%, and the reason was because of all the work he had done on it. Over the years, he had put in a pool, fixed the cracking foundation, replaced the roof, and so much more, and that my grandparents had involved him in the sale to make sure that he was okay with not getting the house. He had told them that he didn't want a big house to take care of, and with him retiring soon, he wanted to take his money and travel, and not worry about what was happening to their house. This basically squashed any complaints. So this has been a roller coaster of a day, but thank you to everyone for the kind words. I'm ready for a nice stiff scotch. Well, it was OP's grandma who set the price and who agreed to sell it to OP, so it was her will. As long as OP's grandmother was of sound mind when she sold OP the house, OP is good. This is what happens when people assume they will just get a share of what isn't theirs to begin with. They all had the opportunity to find out what grandmother was planning to do with the house and didn't ask. Must suck to be them. And now let's hear if the community agrees with me. Ambitious Eddie says, So you, At age 28, have spent nearly a third of your life taking care of them, every day. Your grandma selling you the house for 10% of its value is your reward for the years of hard work and sacrifice. No one else could be bothered to help. With 8 children, they could have all split the work and done just a bit of it. But it sounds like only one uncle even pitched in, and he was completely okay with the situation. Your grandma wanted the house to stay in the family. By selling it to you, she got what she wanted. You are not the a-hole. Lindsay H911 says, "Not the a-hole. They chose to sell the house to you. I assume you didn't coerce them into selling, or the price. It is legally yours now. Not much they can do. You may want to consult with an attorney to be safe." My boyfriend, 43 male, and I, 36 female, have been dating for almost 7 months. His last ex has been an issue in our relationship. It isn't actually due to anything that she has personally done. It is because of the way he goes about handling things. She is terminally ill because she has a rare form of blood cancer. They have 2 kids. He financially takes care of her and the kids. She cannot work and goes to the hospital often. I support him in this action. I've never been in a relationship with someone who has kids and didn't know how to handle it. When I asked him for help in navigating it, he got very angry at me and told me that I just have to deal with it. The biggest issue came up when I moved in with him and found out that she came into the house while I was at work. It made me feel uncomfortable, and he got mad. My home is supposed to be my safe space, and it feels invaded when someone I don't know has access to me and my things like that. He recently mentioned feeling guilty for having left a sick bee and wanted to move her in with us. He explained that they planned this for years before I even came into the picture, and whoever he ended up with would just have to be an understanding woman who will put up with it. If he knew this was his plan, I should have found out at the beginning, instead of being blindsided at almost 7 months in. When I asked him why he led me to believe that we'd have a happy life with just us and the kids, he said he got lost in the moment. When I asked him what he'd do in my position, he said that he'd made the best decision for himself. I told him that I have a decision to make, and he began backpedaling and saying that I should speak to everyone involved and decide if it's what I want at that point. More than likely, I'd leave. He then changed his story, stating that it was only in case of emergency and that he'll only live with me. I thought the issue was resolved until he brought it up again. He asked me what I'm going to do when everyone lives together. I told him that I'd figure it out when it happens. When he brought it up this time, I mentioned how he said it was only in case of emergency, but he's now making it seem like it's going to happen regardless. He clarified by saying that it indeed will happen. After I told him that I will probably leave, he again said that I win and get what I want, and she will have to figure her own crap out. He's blaming me for loving him with limits, calling me selfish for not taking her feelings into consideration, and made me feel like crap for being uncomfortable with the idea of his ex living with us. I've yet to meet her, even though I've stated many times that I'd probably feel better if I knew her. I no longer feel safe and protected by this man. I'm struggling here. Am I selfish? Am I wrong for feeling the way I do? Would I be the a-hole for not supporting his desire to take care of his ex and leaving him? I personally think he's not wrong for wanting to take care of the mother of his children, but the way he went about treating OP and concealing his full intentions is just disrespectful of their relationship and OP's boundaries. This is way too much baggage. If he loved OP, he'd want OP to be comfortable and feel loved. OP should leave now and not waste more time. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Slight Nail 5869 says, "The title is misleading. It should be, 'Am I the a-hole for not wanting to be a part of my boyfriend's harem?'" Gum 66 says, "You've got no obligation to this man or his sick ex-wife. You've only been together 7 months, and he's already moved you in with his kids. Seems kinda sus, like he wants you as a live-in maid and carer for the ex-wife. I'd cut your losses and leave." Tuckcraft Verk says, "Not the a-hole. He's not with you. Emotionally, he's still with his ex. That's his choice, but you deserve someone who wants to be with you, who considers your feelings, who wants you to feel safe, cherished, and loved. If that's not him, leave." My wife, 23 female, and I, 24 male, married young when we were 18 and 19. We had been together since we were 15 and 16, and marriage was a mutual desire of ours. But we mostly married so we could be together, as I was living in the United States serving with the Army, and she was in the United Kingdom. Things went downhill after I got out of the Army and enrolled in college. After 2 years of being out of the Army, I found out that she was cheating on me with multiple men. After confronting her, Our relationship deteriorated drastically, and we lived in a very hostile environment. Threats of divorce were constant on both sides, but never carried out. Over the course of several months, maybe even half a year, the animosity fizzled out and eventually we became amicable. I decided to forgive her because ultimately I still loved her. I probably always will, and we moved on. It was understood that she had ended that side of her life to stay with me. Fast forward to last night. She was at a work function and drinking, so I knew that she'd be home late, maybe midnight or something around there. It got to 3 a.m. and I had this pang of dread. I did something that I'm not proud of, but I'm glad I did it. I opened up her laptop and her messenger was logged in. I was trying to figure out where she was as she was ignoring my messages and calls. So I went on her messages with her half-sister. She had left a voice message to her half-sister at 11 p.m. while ignoring my messages. The voice message was her bragging to her half-sister that she slept with her boss, a 60-something married man. Great. I also happen to know that during the initial series of affairs, she had an affair with her boss's nephew, a 40-something married man, and going through her messages last night confirmed that she never broke that off, but continued to see him also, as recent as a few days ago. Obviously, divorce is the most sensible route to take and is most likely going to be my future. Now, here's my question. Will I be the a-hole if I expose the two married men she had affairs with by telling their spouses? The two men work for the same business, which they both own major stakes in, and they're related to one another, uncle, nephew. Their wives are almost definitely friends, and these men are pillars of the local community, both volunteer firefighters and charitable people. It could seriously damage their reputation and their spouse's reputation, and I suspect it could have some life-altering consequences. There's also the possibility that their spouses already know, in which case I just look like a vindictive a-hole. If I was to inform the spouses of the affair, what would be the most non-a-hole-ish way to do so? In my opinion, spouses have a right to know, but OP needs not to forget that this will make his own life more difficult. If OP does this, OP's ex-wife is pretty much guaranteed to lose her job. That will make OP's divorce more acrimonious, and it could bite OP in the butt, e.g., if she has no earnings, OP may have to pay spousal support. So yeah, OP needs to consider all advantages and disadvantages. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Uncouth says, not the a-hole. The spouses deserve to know. Do it privately, calmly, and matter-of-factly. You won't come off as vindictive, and if they get upset at you, it's on them for shooting the messenger. Walt White says, bro, you're 24. Get out of there and get that divorce done. Afterwards, if you haven't already found an incredible woman who treats you right, you can decide if vengeance is required. Not the a-hole, obviously. Man, your wife is awful. Moon J says, not the a-hole. Their wives deserve to know what type of person they are. At the end of April 2021, I found out my wife of almost 11 years had been having an affair with a man that she works with. She told me that she didn't know why she had done it, as she wasn't attracted to him and didn't have feelings for him at all. She just did it for the attention. I forgave her almost immediately, as I truly felt she was the love of my life and my soulmate. 2 weeks after I found out about the affair, she admitted to me that she had been falling out of love with me for a few months, but didn't know why and didn't know there was anything that could be done to bring her feelings for me back, so she asked for a divorce. Over the next few months, I lost 30 pounds due to anxiety and depression and lack of sleep. My wife started dating the man she cheated on me with and promptly informed our 4 young kids about her relationship. I asked her not to talk about her boyfriend in front of our kids yet, since I didn't feel it was appropriate this early into our divorce process, and it was clear that my 10 and 11-year-old children were uncomfortable with the situation. My wife even tried to force our kids to FaceTime with her new boyfriend a month ago, and it made my oldest son so uncomfortable that he hid under his bed sheets. I asked her not to expose the kids to him anymore for at least 4 to 6 months, and that she can enjoy her time with him, but to leave the kids out of it. This week was our youngest son's 6th birthday, and I had reluctantly asked if she wanted to get together as a family to celebrate, as it was my custodial night with the kids, and I wanted to be nice. We had agreed to meet up and keep things civil. The night before the party, my wife FaceTimed my kids while she was at her new boyfriend's house, which made me sick to my stomach, and made my kids visibly uncomfortable. So after the call, I texted her and told her I didn't think it was a good idea to get together for the party anymore, because of how anxious I knew I would be around her, and didn't want to say or do anything in front of our kids that I might regret. She was very upset about this, because she wanted to be able to see our son on his birthday. To which I responded by telling her, "Divorce sucks, and if you wanted to see and speak to our kids every day, that she shouldn't have cheated and asked to end the marriage." I also informed her that I do not want her calling our kids on their days with me anymore, as it's my court-appointed time, and since my son's birthday fell on my night, this meant that I didn't want her to call him. I said if our son asked to call her, I would let him, but he never did. She tried to get her attorney involved, but he told her there's really nothing legally wrong with my request, and not much he could do. Needless to say, she didn't get to talk to him or see him on his birthday because of her actions. Am I the a-hole in this situation? Substantial Fox 4905 says, "Not the a-hole. You didn't have to offer her any time with your son on his birthday if it's a day he was in your custody. You did so to be generous. You have asked her previously to be discreet about her new relationship with the kids you share, and she has flouted that over and over. I'm pleased her attorney saw sense that there wasn't anything wrong with what you said or did. You actually seem to be putting your kids' feelings first, whilst she seems keen to move on and pretend everything is okay. Keep doing as you are." My Biz L2 says, "Everyone sucks here. Your wife more, but still. She cheated. She's bringing her new boyfriend around the kids in a way that makes them uncomfortable. She's an a-hole. But you suck too. Your kids are not a weapon to teach her a lesson. Does she have a legal right to talk to her son on his birthday? No, but come on. She's a mother wanting to wish her child a happy birthday. You could put stipulations around it, like you'll be monitoring the call and will end if she involves the boyfriend, sure. Cutting her off from her children completely when they're with you is really about punishing her. It does your children no good to be refused contact with their mother when they're with you. You can prevent a call involving her boyfriend when they're with you, but they're still going to have that when they're with her. So what are you accomplishing? As a child of divorce, it did me no good to see the animosity between my parents. The kids are stuck in the middle, and they're the ones being hurt." Twig669 says, "You're the a-hole. It's fair to say no contact with boyfriend so soon, but not letting her speak to her kid on his birthday because she is sitting in his house, assuming he is not on camera, is real toxic. You are using the kids as pawns for your anger. And then banning her from the kids' party? I can't even. This is horrible for the children and makes me sad.